I want to tell you a story that happened right around here where you are. It happened over 50 years ago. My grandparents lived in a small house that is approximately where my house is located today. Where you are sitting right here today, there used to be a small pasture where 3 or 4 milk cows were kept. Behind you, less than 200 or 300 yards, was a small pond where you could catch some pretty good fish if you were a pretty good fisherman. Across the street, and the street was nothing but a dirt road. There were only 3 houses on this whole street. 2 of them were at the other end. Across the road, where that community is now, my grandparents had what they called a garden, and yet it was enough food to feed about 10 families for a year. They grew corn, they grew okra, they grew beans, they grew peas, they grew watermelon, all of those things. And I spent some very happy days here when I was a young kid. They had chickens everywhere, and down by the pond they had several ducks. And I do not know why, but my grandmother loved ducks. And she had one duck that she loved in particular, whose name was Gladys. And one day, as my brother and I, we stayed the weekend with Grandma and Grandpa. Somehow or another, for some reason, I had a little slingshot, one of those U-type slingshots that's got a handle on it, and it's got some rubber strips coming out, and you could pull. And I had that slingshot, and I was shooting at everything that moved. I was shooting at things that wouldn't move. And after shooting all day, I had not hit the dad-blasted thing. And I was walking down the pond, and I saw Gladys walking around this pond. And I didn't even think about it much because I knew I'd never hit her, but I put a rock in that baby. And for the first and only time all day, my aim was true. I let that baby go, and it knocked Gladys right up the head. Gladys fell like a rock in a well. Scared me to death that I actually hit something. And then I realized that was Gladys. I ran as fast as I could to try to revive Gladys, but I hate to tell you, that was one dead duck. I looked around when I realized that Gladys was a goner, to see if anybody had seen what I had done. And nobody saw it. So like most young guys would do, I picked Gladys up, went around to the back side of the pond, found some bushes, and buried that duck as best I could. I came back, I washed my hands, and went up for supper and did not say a word. I thought I had gotten away with it, until my grandpa said to my grandma, I think I'll take John and we'll go fishing. And my older brother, he said, I don't think so. I think John would like to stay and do dishes with Grandma while I'll go fishing with you, Grandpa. And I said, what are you talking about? And he leaned down and very quietly he said, I know about the duck. Well, I changed my mind. I said, yeah, Grandma, I'll stay up here and I'll do dishes with you and you can let my brother go fishing. And so she didn't say anything, and he blackmailed me for the next 2 days. Every time I started to get a little uppity, he'd just go quack, quack, and that would just bring me right back in the line. Well, the night before we were going home, I was there again for the 3rd night in a row, washing dishes with Grandma. And Grandma said, how long are you going to let your brother do that to you? I said, what are you talking about, Grandma? She said, John, I know about the duck. She said, I saw you do it. I know you didn't mean to kill old Gladys. I forgave you when you did it. But I've just been waiting for you to tell me about it. Young people, I want to tell you, God knows about the duck. You may have some things hidden from your folks. You may have some things that you've done that you think nobody knows. But God knows about the duck. He's just waiting on you to tell him about it. Maybe as we go through these holidays, there might be some things that you need to tell God about. And the great news is, we have a God who came in the flesh. Who came in the flesh so that He could have a relationship with you. And He put His very Spirit within you. So never be fearful of telling God about the duck. He just wants you to tell Him about it. And He'll forgive you. And He will wash you at the mercy seat and give you grace and forgiveness. And that's why we have a God that is so great. The Lord is in His holy temple. Let all the earth keep silent before Him.